What if by understanding how your personal infrastructure is built, how your personality integrates and it fuses itself into your world, and by restructuring that infrastructure, you could in turn transform your life? Today's video is going to be very potent and concise and all about that alone. Welcome to today's video, everybody. I'm really excited to talk to you about rearranging your personal infrastructure. You know, this concept is probably one of the most powerful things that you could do in your life, hence why I speak about it so much. But when you begin to understand how your sense of being contributes to the results that you get, and you understand all of the nuanced parts that happen in between that sense of being and the results that you experience, you become the scientist, you become the actor, the writer, the director that gets to choose how each of those pieces of infrastructure is created. And so to start, we want to talk about the fundamental pyramidic concept of self-concept that turns into action and results. The power of the self-concept and how it plays into our lives cannot be any more overstated. As we've kind of displayed here in this diagram, you can see how the pyramid of your life is built, starting with your self-concept at the bottom. Number 3, we understand that the self-concept is where the foundation of what is perceived and experienced is defined, right? The self-concept is everything that we believe to be as true. This is where our most fundamental psychological makeup is initiated, created, generated, and ultimately the self-concept. It is a very direct pathway to emotions, to thoughts, to beliefs, right? Because there are sub-beliefs that exist right here in between number 3 and number 2 that are the result of this, the self-concept. And so ultimately, the emotions and thoughts that we have are a direct byproduct of what's going on here, the self-concept. And the self-concept that we carry creates a lens through which everything is seen, experienced, and rationalized. And so naturally, this is exactly why when you change the way you see yourself, the things you see change. Not because they've changed, but because you've changed. Because when you enter into a new state of consciousness, you don't change and create from scratch, you reveal what already is. And most of the time when you change your state of consciousness, you reveal things that you did not see before. It's not because they weren't there, it's because you weren't looking, right? And then from that place of emotions and thoughts turns into action and reaction, right? And this is the final building block of the process. Action follows emotions and thoughts, right? Which then follows self-concept. And reactions, they affirm residual concepts, repeating the cycle. We can't help but have our reactions affirm what we believe to be true about ourselves. Our very intention to react is built off of whatever we are believing to be true about ourselves in that moment. And what's so interesting about our reactions is that reactions often define what happens next. How we respond to a situation very much determines how that situation unfolds. Sometimes that's not the case. Most of the time it is. And so as we can learn how these 3 things play in together, we can really begin to understand how to purposely and consciously build infrastructure for our lives that supports our highest good. Now, here's the thing, right? You have to understand that the way that's built ultimately translates itself in the form of a cycle. So what I want to talk about now is ultimately how the pyramid that we just discussed actually turns itself into an Ouroboros, or a self-perpetuating cycle that allows us to see from a high level what every step of the journey is, and then allows us the opportunity to dive in and understand each concept individually. So when we take this and we begin to understand the cycle that occurs here, what we begin to understand is that our identity, right, our fundamental sense of being, it literally creates a natural rhythm, right? This fundamental being exists in the nervous system without challenge or resistance, right? That's how something becomes natural, is it experiences itself inside of the nervous system to such a degree that it's not challenged, it's not confronted, and ultimately, because it is not challenged, it sets into the subconscious and becomes fundamentally true. And what this does is ultimately takes us over to the sense of beingness, right? The sense of beingness occurs as a result of the natural rhythm that the self-concept gives us, right? So we accept identities, we consent to truths. Those truths go unchallenged in our subconscious and our nervous system, which translates into residual beingness, right? So this cycle must unfold this way. So when it comes to the work that we're doing here to transform your self-concept, we need to focus on the identity and the natural rhythm. And one thing that Neville says that I love, he says that ultimately your self-concept is what you are doing or what you are being, what state you're in when nothing else is interrupting you, right? When you're sitting and you're doing nothing, that is the state of consciousness that you are creating from. And I love that because it really gets us to understand that our sense of beingness, the state that we constantly return to, is the identity that we're carrying around. And we cannot help but have this sense of beingness turn into our doingness. We can rarely do more than we think we can do. And the moment we begin to allow an identity of amazingness, of barrier breaking, of $1 million business, of doing crazy impactful things for the world, of all these different things, the moment that identity sits in our nervous system and it's not challenged and it remains there and we associate ourselves with that, we will start to see ourselves getting those results. So in this video, we've taken a look at personal infrastructure. We've taken a look at understanding how self-concept translates into thoughts and feelings and emotions and actions and results. We've come to understand the cycle and how it experiences itself, and ultimately how I am the creator of my reality. And I can promise you, if you begin to work on transforming your personal infrastructure, you're not only going to make it easier to do the things that you want to do, to put the habits in place that you want to put into place, but ultimately to create the life that you want to create. It is fruitless to try and create your life without rearranging the fundamental infrastructure of your personal reality. I had an amazing time chatting with you today. If you loved what you saw, go ahead and like it, comment, subscribe, do the thing, man. We love seeing you. We love hearing from you. That's what this is all about here. So I hope you have an amazing day, and we'll talk to you soon.